Hi, I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Kiernan Schmidt.
And this is Out of Office, a travel podcast.
This seat taken?
Hey, Kiernan.
Hey, Ryan. How are you today?
I'm good. It's my, we're recording this right before my birthday weekend. I'm turning
Is today
29.
your birthday?
No, my birthday's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
4/4.
Okay, so I didn't miss it. So can I be the first to wish you a happy birthday, a happy and hearty birthday?
Thank you.
These you like late your 20s. Birthday. Late 20s, mid 40s, mid to upper 40s.
Early mid 40s or late early mid 40s.
Early mid upper 40s.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
So so you're having a big shebang.
No, I'm going to Medellin for the weekend.
Okay, and that sounds nice.
Yeah, it's going to be just like a chill weekend, and it's Easter, so Latin America is pretty quiet to begin with,
and it'll be you'll mostly be prayer, contemplation, abstinence, all of the standard honors.
Have you been following all this talk about how Catholicism is
cool
again?
Of course. Am I fine? Are you kidding? You should see my Instagram algorithm. It's like mostly Catholic cool stuff.
Yeah. My Twitter algorithm is very Catholic, so I get a lot of the Pope and all these articles that are like the Catholic Church is New York's hottest nightclub, and about like Gen Z Catholic influencers.
Oh my God. I should consider being a Gen Z Catholic influencer. I think I have that in me.
You could be a great millennial dad Catholic influencer.
I get a lot of priest influencers, and man, they are working so hard to build their audiences on Instagram. I mean, they really, there's very little self-respect in some of the videos, these guys. And the ones you really want to search out are the friars, like the ones who are just socked away, and it's like a bunch of guys who all live together, and they've clearly brainstormed it for a few hours, and they're all talking it up and how funny it's going to be. And it's like I saw one the other day of different. Actually, you know what? It worked. It was funny. It was different ways to genuflect when you get into your pew.
I am a big performative genuflector.
Of course, me too. Yeah. It's all it's the theater of it. It's how you and I turned out how we are.
Yeah. The Catholic aesthetic, it's pretty good.
Well, we're actually recording this on Good Friday, so I've got. I know. It's a very spare eating day, and it's good for the day job, vegetarian QSR. I posted to Instagram in honor of Good Friday. No meat on today's menu. It's a little joke.
That is very funny.
Thank you. Now, speaking of other things happening in Boston, Ryan, quite a few listeners have alerted me, and I want to let you know I hear you. I'm well aware, and I thank you that Rick Steves, godfather of the Out of Office podcast, is coming to Boston. He's coming to Brookline, which is a neighborhood, he's going to the Brookline Booksmith on April 21st. He'll be there for 5 p.m. and he's talking about On the Hippie Trail, which is the book that he came on our show to talk about last time.
Oh, that's fantastic. Are you going to go meet Rick?
I'm considering it. Honestly, he gets mobbed when he comes to Boston. I mean, really mobbed. Boston is a Rick Steves town.
I am sure. Yeah.
And, I've had the direct access already. And I don't want him to be creeped out. He knows how much I like him. I think, he didn't reach out yet. I mean, this is still early April. I'm expecting maybe there's maybe a lunch invite, but if Rick Steves people are listening, I'm as far as I know, I'm around that week. Oh, you know what? I'm not around that week, but I could shift my schedule if need be. I would love to talk to Rick in person. I'm especially interested in talking about the future of Rick Steves, Europe, and where the future growth is coming, and all of the places it's going. So, I'll wait for that invite. So maybe I'll see you there, listeners.
I love it. And get a picture for the Instagram OOO podcast.
That's right. At OOO podcast, like ooh podcast. And also if you're local, highly recommend. Always a joy to see Rick. He's a natural performer, really good speaker, and a fun glad hander. So if you're considering getting tickets, I certainly would encourage you to do so.
Yeah, and I'm sure if he's on tour, check out his website and go support Rick.
Yeah, he's going all around. I was just browsing. He's in Texas. He's always in Washington, which is where he lives. He's in Chicago, Brookline, Massachusetts, Franklin, Indiana. Then he's going to Kansas City, Missouri, and San Diego, California. So he's doing quite a tour in April around the book.
Yeah, that sounds. I should pick it up. Give it a read.
Well, I mean, twist my arm. I guess I could put in the show notes a link back to our episode where we talked to him about On the Hippie Trail, which is, if you haven't listened to it, it's all about his very first major excursion. And he went on this giant road trip all across Europe and into Asia. And it used to be called the Hippie Trail. And these are his journals that he actually kept when he was a young man.
I love it. I love it. There was a version of the hippie trail also in South America, that was pretty famous.
Is that right? I didn't know that. That'd be a fun episode to talk about.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
Did it have a name?
Oh, I forget. But Hunter Thompson went on it and wrote a book about it. Yeah.
All right, this is a good idea. Another Rick Steves tie here is to the show we're going to talk about today, which is we're going to spotlight an international national park, a protected wildlife and a natural area, which is Plitvice Lakes National Park in Croatia. And I remember I was using a Rick Steves book when I was preparing for that trip.
Oh, well, when you said you were going to do a national park, Kiernan, I just assumed it was going to be in the U.S. So I
wanted to get, we were domestic last episode. So I thought this episode, let's do a spotlight.
With the price of gas, domestic travel is where it's at. But
I don't know. A lot of our national parks are really far away from you gotta from airports, you got to travel pretty far. Whereas Plitvice, it's a slick 2.5 hours from Zagreb, so it's not bad.
Well, why don't we take off and go to Zagreb?
Okay. Tell the cabin crew.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
All right, Ryan. Now, I don't know every country you've been to. Have you been to Croatia?
No, it's like so high on my list. So I haven't been to any of this region.
So this is Catherine and I did a big road trip across Slovenia and Croatia, and a lot of what you do in those places is you drive along the coast. There's a lot of great coastline to enjoy. So you can do beach, you can do beautiful mountains and forests because the Alps continue down into that area. And in planning, I came upon a description of this Plitvice Lakes National Park. And if you Google it, you are going to see exactly why you have to fit this into any Croatian, Slovenian, Bosnian trip that you're taking, because it's actually quite close to the Bosnian border, but it's more towards the interior. But as I said, you can get to it from a lot of the major tourist areas that you're already going to be in. Cheap bus ticket, and it is the type of national park you can certainly visit in a single day. You're not going to explore everything if you're only there for 5 or 6 hours, but you are able to see the major stuff, because the reason you go to Plitvice Lakes National Park is to see these absolutely crystal clear, beautiful lakes and waterfalls.
I'm looking at the pictures now. The color of the water is amazing.
It's unbelievable. It looks incredibly exotic. It's not what you would like.
I'm not thinking like Europe when I look at this.
Exactly. I think that is a perfect description of it. It's this crystal clear blue water that almost looks like what you would think like the Caribbean Ocean looks like. And in person, it is just as electric blue as it looks in these photos. And the park goes back a long way. It was established in 1949 to preserve these very special lakes and waterfalls. The word Plitvice, which, by the way, I should spell it for folks if you're not looking at it. If it's Plitvice, so it looks like Plitvice, but it's Plitvice, and it means shallow because these lakes are actually pretty shallow. And the whole network of the 16 lakes and waterfalls has to do with some pretty interesting geology that I'll talk about. But it's a quite unique feature, and it's very centralized. So that's why you can cover it in 5 or 6 hours if you're taking a bus tour in and out.
And it looks like it looks like they built some sort of like boardwalk all around.
Yes,
kind
yes.
of. I mean, it's, you know what it reminds me of, like Avatar.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, it picks up on that because it is in this beautiful forest around, and so there's hiking you can do that goes away from the lakes, and then, as you said, the boardwalks. There are boardwalks that crisscross these lakes and waterfalls to bring you to lots of beautiful views, and you can do miles on these boardwalks alone. And what I loved about it was it's super, super accessible for people because it's not strenuous hiking to take in these great views. You've got, it's easy for families, it's easy for elderly tourists. And it's pretty interesting when you're there, if you're perking your ears up, you definitely feel that this is a place that Croatians come to visit and a lot of Europeans come to visit. But as far as I could tell, there are not as many Americans who put it on their Croatia itinerary. And this podcast is sort of my argument that you should do so.
Okay, well, this I'm sold.
It's
you know,
it's Croatia does have several national parks. This is the oldest and largest. It's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I know you like to keep that list on your mind, and it has some interesting features that I'll touch on, and it's got one really funny factoid about it that I absolutely love, which is, right. Do you know? I learned this when I went there. I didn't know that, like Western movies in the United States, like John Wayne, bandit
sure,
kind of movies.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they were all shot in Europe, right? They were like,
I don't know. Is that true? I don't think that's
no,
true.
so there was a whole Italian Western.
Yes, that's right. There's
yeah.
Well, these spaghetti westerns, as they were called, were very popular in Germany, and there was a whole European industry of trying to create like American style westerns. Okay, and
I love it.
Completely weirdly, Plitvice National Park is a place where they filmed some of these spaghetti westerns, these like German spaghetti westerns in the 1960s. And so apparently German tourists still search it out to like see, but it looks nothing like the American West. I mean, nothing like the American West.
No, it's like maybe what the Grand Canyon looked like before it was a canyon. When it was like a lush area.
Exactly. And so the location, particularly that people point to that you could recognize from the films is it's called, I'm probably mispronouncing it. I apologize if it is, but it's Supljara Cave, which is this little cave system you can see there. The lakes themselves, I mean, because there's waterfalls, you could figure this out. They sit on 2 different tiers. There's upper lakes, there's lower lakes, 16 in total, and they all flow into one another. And the waterfall that you really want to search out is 255 feet. It's called the Veliki Slap, which I think is a great name for a waterfall because that's kind of the sound the water makes when it hits.
And can you like walk up the waterfall?
Yeah, there's stairways and boardwalks all along the exterior. So if you only have 3-4 hours, you're going to spend all of it on the boardwalks. And then there are 8 hikes that you can do. Beyond that, there's 2 entrances to the parks. Different hikes pick up at each of those entrances. And so there's quite a good afar.com layout of those 8 hikes. And what that article is arguing is take a little bit of time, spend an extra day or 2 at the park to incorporate the hike. So it's too in the weeds to go into each one of those hikes, but I'll link to that afar in the show notes. And I will say we took that path. We stayed a night because I could just tell when I was considering this trip that this was a place I was going to want to see over a course of time and not be in a rush. And there are 3 hotels right on site. And I mean, you're a 5-minute walk from the lakes and the waterfalls and the boardwalk. really lovely accommodations, quite affordable if you're coming with the US dollar in hand. And so I think it's if you have the time on your Croatian visit to stay a night, absolutely would do it. Very charming restaurant on site where they actually serve trout, much like the trout that you can see down in the lakes, even though there is no hiking, there is no fishing allowed.
No fishing. Ugh,
And it gets it's like a pretty healthy crowd, but it doesn't get overrun. It gets about 15,000 visitors and hikers on a busy day. So, spread off out across a decent stretch. That's not too bad. But the boardwalks in the lakes can get a little backed up, especially if you have some slower tourists around it. But I found people to be very polite. And there is an interesting there's an interesting historical, cultural tie into this, even beyond the spaghetti westerns, which was, oh gosh, it's actually very relevant to the time of year too, which is on Easter Sunday, 1991, the very first gunshots of the Croatian War of Independence from Yugoslavia they were shot inside the area that is protected in this park. And so the Serbian Yugoslav army was actually they took over this park and were there until 1995. So there's an additional resonance for those locals who make their way here, but no acknowledgement of that history in the natural areas that you'll be visiting as a tourist. But it's a good thing to know. And when you go to the Balkans area, I mean, you should read up on the history. That might not be a bad episode for us to do too, about the kind of complexities of that war.
Yeah, I don't. That's a war that I remember as a kid, but don't really have any adult understanding of. So I would be interesting to read something on that.
Yeah, that's about where I am on it too. It was like kind of in the background, but we were just a touch too young to be following it closely. There is wildlife, as you'd expect. I'm just looking at it's 115 square miles, and these lakes and waterfalls, they are one piece of it, but a lot of that is just forest. And so you do have deer, wolves, wildcats, lynx, wild boars, otters. But there are a lot of birds, and it's a good place to be a birder. A lot of those others that I said, they're very shy of humans, so you're unlikely to see any of those. But there's it's a good spot to bring your binoculars with you, and what I think is cool, though you're extremely unlikely to see one of these. It is one of the few places that the European brown bear still lives, and that's an endangered bear species that is almost never spotted on visits to Europe.
Oh, that's cool. And so I guess you didn't see one when you were.
No, I wasn't like. Trust me, I would have led with that.
Yeah.
But you'll
Yeah.
never believe it. No. And what's cool, kind of the next layer down outside of just the unique beauty of these waterfalls and lakes is the geology. And I will say that they don't do a terrific job of laying out what exactly is going on that formed these shallow lakes and these waterfalls. And so just to give a little bit of a descriptor of it and why Plitvice shallow is a great describer for these lakes, is because it is a very soft rock that is preserved in this area, and it's a limestone that's called travertine, and it has in it a lot of calcium carbonate, which means that the landscape where the rocks are building up, where they're ebbing and flowing over time, change not extraordinarily quickly, but in the course of 1,000 years, it can actually dramatically change like the layout of these falls. And so the walls, the like kind of natural dams that are creating these waterfalls to spill over, those are these natural rock formations. And below, what you can see below these beautiful lakes, the rock is so porous that there's underground rivers, there's underground passageways. So it's a very unique ecosystem, which is causing this like constant flow of this gorgeous water.
That sounds very cool. Beautiful.
And that, of course, too, is the reason that there are caverns and caves, because it got carved out over time through the movement of water, like all caves do.
Can you do a cave tours there, or
you can't do a cave tour? But it's a good question. There are, outside of the boardwalks and the hiking trails, there are electric boats that you can, will take you actually out onto the lakes. And they can connect you to different places across the 16 lakes and onto different hikes. So, as far as I know, they don't actually take you into the caves, but it is easy to get out onto the water itself and get just a different view. And this underlines a big point that I should make, which is we're just getting, we've talked on this podcast a ton about the problems of overpopulation in trying to protect these natural wonders. And they do have limited availability tickets. So while I am saying it's not a place that every tourist seeks out, it is popular enough that you should book your tickets in advance.
That's good to know. And I'm sure you can do it online, not too hard.
No, it's not too hard. Very easy. And our experience of getting a bus there was just regular buses are running from all the major hubs, and a bus ticket was like $20. Super affordable.
I love picturing you on a bus in Croatia.
Oh, that's funny. Why? What's wrong? I'm a bus guy. I'm a bus man.
You're a bus guy. Yeah. All right.
I've spent a lot of time on buses. A bus can be one of the most efficient ways to get around in some of these places.
I take the bus in Mexico from Guadalajara to Puerto Vallarta, and it's like 3 hours. And they have really nice buses in Mexico, and you'll go through the agave fields. It's lovely. So yeah, I get it.
I at some time we should talk bus riding in Central and South America, because we took some pretty harrowing buses in Guatemala that I'm still thinking about some of those roads.
We took a few in Peru that were sort of like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these, especially, the rail infrastructure just isn't there in a lot of these places. And for difficult terrain, I mean, Peru's like this, Guatemala was like this too, which is there are places that are only 20 miles away from each other, but the road system is so poor and there's no way to go through the mountains that you're looking to go 20 miles. It might take a 4 or 5 hour bus trip on pretty tight roads that are just switchbacks going up and down mountains.
It surprises me, though, because it's Europe. You think there'd be a train.
You would think there's a train. Yeah, that is an interesting thing. But you know what? I'm sure it has to do with the natural protection of the area. And my memory of that trip was that it was a very easy, super pleasant, straightforward, very calm road. And you know what? I often like these sort of downtime moments in a trip, like a bus trip or like a train trip in the middle, to like kind of relax and compose yourself between seeing all the cultural sites.
Yeah, no, I have done very little of that in Europe, so this has inspired me.
Well, especially because you're still planning on to decamp to Austria next year, right?
It's TBD. I think next year.
Oh, wait! Breaking news! Why wasn't this in the A segment? What's we got some trouble in paradise there, Ryan?
No, the boyfriend is delaying his master's for a year, so I'm gonna be in Colombia.
All right, great. Well, that means lots more time. I have a bunch of places I need you to hit in South America for good episodes. So I'm thrilled by this news.
Yes, no, there's a lot of places to go over the next year or so. So I'm excited to keep exploring. My Spanish gets worse every day somehow, but.
Well, soon you'll be doing it in an Austrian accent when you come back. Yeah. Well, Ryan, I hope you add Plitvice onto your bucket list here. It really is a great trip, and I love a national park that you don't feel like you're being shortchanged even with a shorter visit. And a lot of national parks overseas, that's like, I do find that sometimes they apply the term national park, and Americans have the idea of our national parks, which are these humongous tracts of land. But there's something really special about a place like this, 115 square miles. I mean, it's not humongous, but you can absolutely see why the political will came together to protect it. So add Plitvice to the list.
All right. Well, I think it's time for the last stop.
The last stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last stop on this train. Everyone, please leave the train.
And well, we're here in the last stop. This is the last segment of the show, the final segment of the show. That's why it's called the last stop. It's got the word last in there. That's kind of your tip off. And it's popularly known as the people's segment. It's my favorite segment, and it's your favorite segment. And it's because it's a moment where we come together to share. It could be just sharing an emotion. I don't think either of us has ever actually cried in the last stop, but it could be allowed. It could be a tale. It could be a joke. It could be a souvenir. It could be a recommendation. It could be a review of some gear. It could be any of these things as long as it checks one box. It must inspire the spirit of wanderlust within us, even during the workday week. Ryan, the world is feeling darn workaday right now. So I'm going to ask you, as I ask you every episode, do you have a last stop this week?
I do, Kiernan. I was scrolling on Twitter a couple days ago, and I saw this video of what looked like the Titanic, made up of a 1,000 little pieces of light. And my first thought was, this is AI slop.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But it's a thing that actually happened. They are filming a documentary on the Titanic, and they built out a drone display using over 1,000 individual drones to recreate the Titanic in the harbor in Belfast. And it is a bizarre sight to see. And there'll be a link in the show notes to watch the video. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I've been to Belfast. I've been to the Titanic Museum. I've always been a fan of the Titanic. The Titanic was huge in the '90s when we were kids, and it's an interesting use of drone technology. It's something I could see happening kind of around the world in other various ways that might be cringe or might not be cringe, but for now, I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it might be an given, I feel like we're supposed to, you and I feel like we would be people who hate drones, but I really love these light up drone shows. I've seen cool ones that are at Disney parks and things, and it's pretty amazing how they can coordinate it. I remember, wasn't it the Chinese Olympics where they did like an amazing drone program?
Yeah, that was the first time I saw something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a cool art form and pretty extraordinary what they can do. So I think it's cool. You should we'll throw a link so people can see the pictures that you were talking about there.
Yeah, it's really make sure you watch to the end, because all the lights go out in this dramatic fashion, and it's like the Titanic vanishes. It's sort of like a magic trick.
Wow.
So yeah, that's my last stop, Kiernan. Did you bring one today?
I did indeed. Sadly, this is not the first time we've talked about something like this, but I'm always interested in trying to follow when there are major military campaigns happening across state lines. How is it affecting tourist areas or places where travelers go? And there's a new map that has been launched by academics at the University Frankfurt's Institute of Archaeological Sciences and the director for the Center for Ancient Middle Eastern Landscapes lab at University of Chicago. And they are tracking cultural sites, historical sites that are being damaged in the war in Iran. And so as of right now, they have 69 confirmed places that have been damaged. Doesn't necessarily mean destroyed, but it's tracking the damage. And the creators of it said they are intentionally trying to be very, very specific with how they're listing these places. So they're only including places that the Iranian government has listed as national heritage sites. And when they get damaged, they get a single slot, even if it's damaging a complex or many buildings. That's like the one place that you can mark. And, I always get reflective on, I feel so lucky when I have visited places before they fall into this sort of turmoil. I've talked many times on the show about traveling to Myanmar, which is a country you couldn't go to now. I missed my slot when Cuba was briefly open and quite friendly with the United States. Iran obviously has a rich cultural heritage, has had huge effects in art and food, and just has brought the world quite a lot of beautiful things. And so, some of there's obviously not a ton of information coming out of Iran right now. So it's hard to know what's being destroyed, but it's good that academics are keeping track of it.
Yeah, it's so depressing. All the human cost of this war and that's Tehran's like an ancient city.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah,
I mean, it's,
yeah.
I constantly think about that if war were to spill into Israel. I remember the echoes of like, remember when they destroyed those massive Buddhas in Afghanistan? I mean, these are just things that, they've lasted for centuries potentially. And then in a moment they're gone.
Yeah, no, that's tragic. Well,
So I'll put a
I,
link if you're interested in touring the map. It's important work. I think it seems like it's in capable hands, and it'll be just an interesting thing. I mean, hopefully we see some calming of the violence, and this can wrap up.
yeah. Well, on that note, Kiernan, um,
I
I,
feel bad wishing you a happy
yeah,
birthday.
have a I hope you and the family have a great Easter weekend.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I hope the listeners had a great Easter. And until next time, I'm Ryan Davis,
And I'm Kiernan Schmidt.
and this is Out of Office, a travel podcast.
This seat taken. Did the
And a good
Easter Bunny
Passover.
bring you toys?
No, the Easter Bunny brought candy.
Candy,
never
just
really
candy.
toys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do the Easter Bunny?
We do the Easter Bunny. I can't without the full. I have no mythology for it though, so it's just like, yeah, this giant bunny came. I don't know. It's not like Santa Claus where there's a whole world building,
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. The Easter Bunny always sort of felt less built out. We need like a good origin story movie.
How has that not happened yet?
Let's get on it.